We add value to underutilized resources there where the people doesn't know what to do. We come with science via students who need 1 year experiential training, and we try to move from the trees, alien invasive plants, for example, or acid mine drainage to make water for irrigation, to make medicinals for pain management, for skin disorders, for digestive disorders like CC immunosant, cell tissue regenerator. If someone have burns, even the heavy, difficult burns.
My name is Gangangana from Bukamuso Environmental in connection with Organico. I'm here today with the Super Septic Super Sewer products. The Super Sewer, I can quickly take you through the pamphlet. Super Sewer is a treatment program for water treatment, sewage works and plants. It is a water and waste drainage treatment. The product actually breaks down naturally the sludge, clears odor.
Good morning. Good morning. I would like first to observe the presence of various parties, provincial authorities that are here with us. Let me acknowledge heads of departments that are here. I would like to also acknowledge the presence of the industry, captains of industry, industry associations that are here, colleagues from DEA, colleagues from other sister departments. Let me acknowledge NGOs that are with us here today. I would also like to acknowledge our guests or observers that are here with us today. Mr. Modise has started talking a little bit about the hunting Indaba that we had last year. Now, following the hunting Indaba, there was a review in the department to say, well, we can't just focus on one subsector of the biodiversity economy. We need to talk about biodiversity economy holistically. Hence, this year, this event is called Biodiversity Economy because we need to focus on both bioprospecting industry as well as the wildlife industry. The results or the actions that were commissioned from the hunting Indaba will be discussed in the next 2 days here. We will weigh the progress, where we are in terms of implementation of the outcomes of last year's hunting Indaba. Equally and similarly, we will develop a new action plan from this biodiversity economy Indaba, which will be progress from which will be reviewed next year when we have our second biodiversity economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I think by now many of us have come to agree and in fact understand that as a country which is well endowed with natural resources, particularly biodiversity, we are dealing with a poverty situation, and at the same time we are sitting with enormous resources in the form of biodiversity. it stands to reason that when you have a resource and you're sitting with a condition, you need to exploit and harness that resource to benefit you and change a lot.
Economic value of wildlife, but focusing specifically on captive and semi-extensive selective breeding. Now, I think this must be one of the most difficult talks that I've ever been asked to give, because it's almost like when you have a fight with your spouse and you've been asked to be objective in your discussions, even though you have a lot of emotions at that specific point. So I think a lot of people would say, I'd rather not stick my head out, because then I don't make any specific commitment. But those of you who know me that know that this is not an option for me, so here's me sticking my head out. And I've got a son that's 19 years old, and the other day, the youth sometimes do have very valuable contributions that they can make. And I said to him, I've got this presentation that I have to give, and I really have something to say about the issue. And he told me this, that if you really want to say something, first find good people to listen to. So this is my son advising his mom. So what I've done, I actually did speak to a few people, and I tried to listen very well to their recommendations and their comments on this specific issue. And that included from investment bankers, right through to game farmers, to scientists, looking at the literature. So this presentation is the culmination and the synthesis of all of that information. Now, captive breeding is done for a lot of different reasons. The focus of today's discussion and presentation is on commercial captive breeding. And often what happens in commercial captive breeding situations is it's done in a selective basis, where they are being selected for specific traits. But we will deal with that in a bit more detail. Now, if you look at marketing, one of the first things that they teach you in marketing is something about competitive advantage. Now, Porter is a world famous person that actually wrote this, and he said, any business, if you want to be competitive, you have to either lower your costs or you have to look at differentiation of your products. Then you will be competitive.
During the initial stages of the project, we did a value chain analysis. Now, what happened is, towards the end of the project, when we had to look into the market and the economic study, we had to actually group the value chain. This is not the original value chain. Some of you may actually understand the value chain as to how it looks like. But towards the end, what we did, because these are actually components of the value chain, but then they've actually been grouped for the sake of doing actually the economic impact of the sector. So what we did was, we came up with actually the domestic market, which I'll actually look into, the export market, and then we tended to actually group all these, and I'm going to look into that separately, because what we did was, during the course of the study, we realized that you tend to find that some of the players within the sector actually do all three. And then from there, I'll also look into what is currently happening in wild harvesting and actually cultivation. Now, just looking at this section of the value chain as we actually grouped it, we actually realized that revenue produced from value-added products in domestic retail, and which contain bioresources as an ingredient, is actually about 1.47 billion. Now, within that 1.7 billion, we realized that cosmetics actually seem to take the lead, because they are sitting at about 555 million, which is about 30% of the products. We looked into pastel hygiene, we looked into oils, we looked into flag flavorings, and complementary medicines. And what we talk about here is just the value of what we actually picked up within the sector, which is at the far end of the value chain, looking into the export market and also the domestic market. That in itself actually presented about 1.47 billion in 2011.
Plants into medicine, you are turning something into something. I guess, yeah, we will talk to you as time goes on, because I need something, I need some help with Orlando Pirates, but we will not dwell on it now.